This is Fearless Beauties, a podcast dedicated to developing voices of color in the beauty industry. We are talking to estheticians, skin specialists, and business owners to uncover best skin practices, tactical career tips, and ultimately, how we can create a better beauty industry together. I'm your host, Taylor Phillip.
And I'm your other co-host, Alina Velez. Welcome to the latest episode of the Fearless Beauties podcast.
Welcome to Season 3, Episode 11 of the Fearless Beauties podcast. My name is Taylor, also known as Taylor Budgets.
My name's Alina, your certified advanced esthetician.
So today, this episode, we are discussing the new face of retail. So we are going to explore the recent scandals surrounding major brands like Abercrombie and Fitch and Victoria's Secret. So we are going to dive on in because, child, there's some tea.
It's juicy. And you know what? We were talking before this. I didn't even know this was going on when it was going on.
I didn't. I don't know if I was out of the loop, don't watch enough TV.
Yeah.
I definitely don't watch the news.
Or who knows? Maybe it was just so hush-hush that... I
don't know.
You know, sometimes these things slip under the rug with no one really knowing. But we've all heard of Victoria's Secret, right? A cultural phenomenon, but it had a rise and fall. I didn't realize that when all of the Jeffrey Epstein things were going on, he was tied to Victoria's Secret, actually, because he was grooming some of the angels. Victoria's Secret, as we know it, has always been kind of like a sex symbol.
Over-sexualized.
Yes, exactly what I was trying to say.
And they always had a one and done type of look at women. And
exclusive.
Exclusive. That's a great word. It's just crazy because I was doing some research. And, Victoria's Secret was built of all male leaders. So they were male leaders telling us, consumers, what is beautiful, what a beautiful woman looks like. Skinny, tall, lean, ribs showing.
You had mentioned how it kind of starts young, and it does. And that's actually why they started a junior market, like a tween girl brand, Pink, to really target that younger market and using that same hypersexual approach. And it's crazy. So I read this article and it was saying how I don't watch the catwalks and stuff, but apparently there was a catwalk of Pink segments, and young models were walking down the runway in erotic schoolgirl outfits and big lollipops and kids stuffed toys. And it just makes me think of the Balenciaga thing that just popped off.
Which hypersexualized.
Is what? Oh, girl.
I told you I don't listen to the news.
Okay, so Balenciaga just got in trouble, for lack of better word, whatever. But they had this campaign come out, and they, it was so ugly. I don't even like to think about it. Just these young kids sexualized with teddy bears, and it was bloody and nasty, and they had what is it called? BDSM or whatever, whips and chains. It was nasty. It was
young kids. Okay, I'm looking at it now.
Okay, yeah, it's real ugly. It was satanic, low-key. Anyway, moving on. I just feel when you are going after children, it's a different ballgame. Moving on, it was interesting because Victoria's Secret, they had a quote-unquote collective rebirth where they did a full rebrand. They're now an inclusive vs collective.
Have you seen any of that?
I don't really shop at Victoria's Secret, if I'm being completely honest. I haven't for years. So no, I haven't. Have
And
you?
I meant to ask you when you were talking about pink, were you ever able to purchase that when you were younger?
No. I remember like the pink sweats being really popular where it said
Right.
like pink on the butt and
My mom would have literally slapped me into 2038
they're like
if I,
$70 sweats.
right. But it was the underwear for her. Like,
Oh, yeah.
why is my child wearing boy shorts?
Yeah.
I don't think she let me wear them until like maybe ninth grade.
Yeah.
And that's appropriate in my opinion.
Sure.
Because child, of course, sometimes when I see like when I'm driving by a high school and they're just letting out the clothes that these girls wear now, and I know I sound so old, but the clothes that these girls wear now, I'm like, that is not how high schoolers looked when I was in high school.
Everything's cropped and
The shorter, the better.
Yeah.
The thongs. And I mean, that's just because when I was growing up, if you went to Victoria's Secret, you were grown. Like, if your parents let you go and shop at Victoria's Secret, one, you had money, and two, and sometimes the girls were buying Victoria's Secret just because they were having sexual relations.
Yeah, absolutely. They were a little fast.
Right. And that's because Victoria's Secret
Yeah.
over-sexualized their products, even down to pink. Just because it's big, bold letters or whatever, doesn't mean that pink has thongs. So why are you having teenagers wear thongs? That's just me. Maybe I just sound old, but
no, I think, because people wear them to be seen, especially when they're cute and sexy. It's like, oh yeah, you wear that kind of stuff to be seen, I think. But as you mature, you grow up, you learn to appreciate you don't need somebody else to see you in that. It just makes you feel good. So I'm not discrediting how lingerie can make a woman feel good. Yes. So not what I'm trying to say at all. But when you're 10, 11, 12,
right,
wearing thongs, like, sorry.
No, and that's what I'm saying. They were in middle school, probably ninth grade, where I saw some of my friends wearing thongs, and my mom. Now, I didn't even want to wear them. My mom was like, it just doesn't seem like they're wearing thongs for themselves because one, thongs are uncomfortable. That's just my opinion. I'm like, why are you wearing them?
True.
Two, it just seemed like you were purchasing them for someone else, not for yourself. So like you mentioned, I'm all for loving on oneself and buying yourself nice lingerie for you because you want to do it. Right. But if it's for someone else, especially at such a young age, it's very unhealthy. And I even saw in the research that Victoria's Secret, they did not want sleepwear. They didn't want anything that covered up the body. They wanted strictly lingerie. Like, they would turn down certain ideas because it wasn't the multi-million-dollar fantasy of womanhood. Yeah. So it's not what men want to see.
Yep. Yep.
They were selling a fantasy. They were not selling real life.
And I think so much of people our age, especially, really, that's all I can speak to. But, we saw these things growing up, and it does do something to you mentally in terms of what is beautiful, being tall and thin and toned with large breasts, and that's beautiful. But
and you didn't see many people. You didn't see many women of color. Also.
Right. So true.
I definitely never saw a black Victoria's Secret model. Well,
Naomi Campbell, huh?
Tyra Banks, right?
Yeah.
But they were popular.
Right.
It's like they put them in just to say, hey, we're inclusive.
Yeah. Check the box.
And then, right. And then they also turned down plus size lines. I saw that in the research as well. They turned down plus size lines. And it's like they literally were just sticking to what the male CEOs of Victoria's Secret wanted.
Right. Yeah. Feels like we are headed in the right direction as far as, inclusivity and body representation.
So there was a Victoria's Secret Angels and Demons. So it was a Hulu documentary, I believe I saw.
Yes.
Yeah, and they interviewed with former employees and executives, including 2 past CEOs, and they also interviewed former angels, so those who were once models. And many of the interviewees had a lot to say about how Victoria's Secret pushed the unrealistic body standards to where even the angels struggled to keep up with those standards. So they would not eat. They would exercise constantly. So you would say they're athletic built, probably because they were working out and not eating. Just to stick to that, I'm not going to even say culture, but probably is that Victoria's Secret
toxic culture.
Right. Like, this is how we want you to look. If you cannot look this way, you are no longer an angel. Which is so crazy that they call them angels. Gosh.
How ironic.
It goes to show you that what's shown on the outside is not what always is. And we've said this so many times, especially about social media. Like, what you see on social media is not always the truth. Like, even down to like the happy couples or whatever you see, there's always something going on behind the scenes. Not saying that there's always something negative, but you will never know the true story because you are not the person posting. So
it was funny. I don't know why this popped into my mind when you said that, but like I had seen this meme one time that was like, I updated my status to sad, and somebody reached out and was like, just assumed that it was like a relationship thing. She's like, no, I'm sad because I need $1 million. Like, like we just assume.
yes.
We just assume. And you just can't. Yeah. But despite the fact that Victoria's Secret is attempting to rebrand itself, at least, there are some really powerhouse inclusive brands like Aerie, Third Love, and Parade that are really taking charge of inclusivity and diversity. So that's pretty cool.
Isn't Aerie in Target?
I thought Aerie was like Aeropostale.
Oh.
But like,
I think it's AERIE.
I could be wrong.
I think it's AERIE.
Yeah, that's how you spell it.
Yeah. I swear I've seen it at Target, but probably not.
Girl, you would know. You love Target.
I love Target.
I do too. I can't even lie.
Love it.
But, another kind of legendary like brand from the past growing up, Abercrombie and Fitch. There's also a documentary on this one too, which I haven't seen yet. But
I didn't even know it existed. It's on Netflix.
Yeah, I didn't even know
watch
either.
it.
I have no excuse. I'm going to watch it too. But they had some serious toxicity in the workplace there. They had denied to hire a Muslim woman who wore a hijab to her work practice, and very controversial. And yes, no, they ended up owning up to it and came out with a statement. But yeah, not a first for them either.
So crazy. So there was this article that highlighted 3 important takeaways from this documentary. Basically, for those CEOs and corporate leaders, just advice on how to manage your workplace. So we just wanted to, let's just highlight a few of them, shall we? So the first one is owning past mistakes. So just like you mentioned about the Muslim woman, Samantha Eloff, hopefully I'm saying her name right. She wore a hijab period, and they wouldn't hire her because of her religious practice. And they went to court. They did the whole thing, which I think is absolutely, absolutely great. But did they own up to it? No.
Well,
Not until later.
the CEO, he came out with a statement that said the recently released documentary is not reflective of who we are now. We own and validate that there were exclusionary and inappropriate actions under former leadership. So they're under new leadership. Let's hope that they are truly making changes. Second thing we can learn, second lesson, is leadership accountability is vital. What I took from this is that companies need to make change in management and prioritize representation. They need to implement new policies, make sure that size range and product range, colors, all that stuff is reflective of inclusivity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So just inclusion, diversity, equity, belonging, making sure that everyone can see themselves in your brand. So you were talking about leadership accountability is vital. I remember when I was younger and I saw Abercrombie and Fitch. I can never even say their name. Let's get that out the way.
Their name is too bougie.
Abercrombie and Fitch. But also, like even Aerie, I could not see myself in their brand. And the only reason why people purchased it was because of the name, because it was expensive. And if you had it, that means you had money. And honestly, when I did wear their stuff, I could never fit it because my body type could not fit their clothing. It's like sometimes when you buy stuff from China, you're like, child, what did I think I get my behind in this? They just have a different size chart. And I felt like Abercrombie and Fitch and even Aerie had their own size chart. They were not inclusive at all.
Mm-hmm.
I only saw Caucasian Americans wearing their clothing.
Yeah.
Period. I never saw African American, Hispanic, Indian American. I never, like Asian American, like South Indian. I never saw anyone else wearing their clothing. And then I read that goes to prove that something in the research, it said that in 2005, we're just going to say A&F, Abercrombie & Fitch, A&F, they settled a class action lawsuit based on a discriminatory look policy that was in place, which may allege showed preference to white male job applicants. Basically saying like their look, quote unquote, was of white male job applicants. And that was true. Like it was the whole khakis and the double collar shirts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Certain colors. It's like it didn't appeal to anyone else but
right. And but a very cookie cutter person, very cookie cutter shopper.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yes, that makes sense that they are now working on becoming more inclusive and proving that everyone belongs. But honestly, does everyone belong to A&F? No.
No.
Not until they get their sizing right. If their sizing is still the same, it's an absolute no. Because a lot of cultures have hips and boobs and we just can't fit your clothes. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, not sorry.
Yes. Yes, so true.
So 3, discrimination is no longer sustainable. So they have had too many instances of discriminatory behavior from their look policy, like we just mentioned, their CEOs, their leadership, their just decisions overall. They were very exclusive.
It's not a sustainable practice. Like, refusing to evolve will no longer be an option. Somewhere in the article I was reading, I think that Abercrombie and Fitch was founded like in the
makes sense. All you had to do was say
1800s, I think. Am I tripping or did it really say that?
I did see 1815, I think.
And so imagine how different things were back then.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, come on, you got to catch up to the times.
1892.
Yes. I mean, yeah, they're stuck in the past. You got some catching up to do. But the fashion industry has called for diversity. Has it really changed? Has it? What do you think?
I think it has. I mean, I'm one like I've never understood, and this may be going down the rabbit hole, but I never understood fashion shows because the clothes in these fashion shows, you won't catch anyone wearing them.
In real life,
Like,
yeah.
where they wearing them?
Yeah.
And if they wearing them, people gonna be like, what the heck are they wearing? They going to the store and they just wearing some like. So I feel like the fashion industry needs to do better with coming out with everyday clothing that is also fashionable.
Sure.
On their runways, so that people can actually watch it and actually say like, oh, let me go to that website and buy that because I'm going to an event.
Yeah.
I'm not going
to.
True. Like the only places you can wear that is at a event in London or Dubai. Like, you know, it's just bougie.
Yeah. Yeah.
I never understood like New York Fashion Week and these clothes that are beautiful, but I can't wear it.
Yep.
So can you please make things, fashion industry, that I can wear on a daily basis?
Yes, please.
Thank you. That's what I have to say. So yes, it has changed.
Gosh.
Like,
so true. Yeah.
It definitely has changed. Yes. But
when I think in the last episode, especially just because it's fresh on my mind, Gen Z alone has, you know, made such a huge difference. Yeah, such a huge change. So yeah, we are making a difference. But, you know, we want to keep companies accountable for when they said that they wanted to be more inclusive. And so I was reading this article and it was talking about how a bunch of companies were making it a first, like galore of firsts taking place, right? So the focus for many leading the conversation of inclusivity. We want to know in 2025, are brands still putting forth effort towards diversity? Like, are you fizzling or are you still pushing the needle forward? Does that make sense?
Right. Yes, it does.
We just need to hold these companies accountable and make sure that, you know, back in 2020 when they said, oh, we want to be a brand of inclusivity and, you know, well, was it just for the time being because it was cool at the time and everybody was doing it? Or, you know, come 2025, is that right. Authentic? Yeah. So. And
I just also want to see creators of color, a plus size fashion, more of it, because I know it's here, but just more of it. And I just don't want there to be any barriers. I just feel like there doesn't have to be a LGBTQIA space or a plus size space. I feel like every brand should offer everything.
Yeah.
Will we ever get there? I do not know, but that's how I think it should be. Because what if someone likes one brand, but they don't offer what they, you know? So
yeah, we need to widen our options.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It feels like it's like a big onion that we're like peeling layers off and peeling layers off. You know, it's a slow process, but one other thing I wanted to... Yes, it does. So true. Last thing I'm going to say from this article, it says diversity and inclusion in an industry that has built its notoriety on being luxuriously exclusive is difficult, especially for young people. So
that's like what I was talking about, the fashion shows.
Yeah.
Like, where can I find this?
Right. Crazy.
Ciao. Well, like you said, we're onion, and I feel like even from season 1 to this podcast, season 3, we've always been saying like it's here, it just needs to be better. Like it's starting to change, but it just needs to change more. And it just takes like a cultural shift in attitude.
Exactly.
And like love for all people. And honestly, we live in a suckish society, if I were to say it. It's just suckish because people hating people and just, it's just too much. That's why I don't watch the news. I don't watch the news because it's just too much hate and too much destruction. And we can't.
I don't blame you.
we can't move anything forward if this keeps happening. So we just gotta
keep the conversations going, keep talking about it, keep it front of mind. Yeah.
Absolutely. So that is, you have anything else to say, girl?
No. I think that's the new face of retail.
We pretty much hit the nail on the head on this episode. Hope you all enjoyed it. Thank you so much for listening. And I don't think we ever say this enough, but please leave a review. We would love to know what you think. Leave a rating, 5-star preferably, just so that all these podcast organizations and such can push our podcast to the home pages.
Yes, please.
It helps us.
Yeah.
So thank you all so much. You can find us on all platforms at Fearless Beauties. You can find me at Taylor Budgets.
And you can find me on Instagram at True Skin Lab.
Okay, we will see you in episode 12. Take care.
Bye.